Roughing the passer calls.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to week 6 coverage of the NFL. As always, my name is the DH, and I'm joined by my favorite co-host in the entire world, Mr. John. I like to call him Newman. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How's things going?
It's going all right. Game today went about how I expected, so you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say
gravy.
first week in like 3 weeks that both of our teams didn't win at the same week, but
You can't win all the time, my man. You
Yeah,
can't win
yeah.
all the time. That's the one thing I've learned. What's going on, Mr. Don Ford? So, guys, as always, please call in, join the show. I'm going to be posting the link to call in right here in just one moment. And anything you guys want to talk about, if you hear us talking about something and you want to talk about something completely different, call in, let us know. We want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. And more importantly, we want to hear how the NFL nation, so to speak, and the RTP nation, we want to know how you guys feel about what's going on this year in football. You know, John?
Well, it's a crazy year, man, between injuries, undefeated teams, winless teams, coaches got fired, coaches that you know are going to get fired and why they're not fired yet. I mean, it's just a crazy year.
Well, you had a really, before I throw the scoreboard up, you had a really interesting, as we talked before the show went on the air, we talked for literally maybe 2 minutes, but you had a really interesting theory that I told you I didn't want to hear about at the moment because I wanted to save it for the show. And so that being said, we're obviously on the show. So you were speaking in particular about Adam Gase and the Jets, and I want to let you go along, but talking about coaches that haven't been fired that definitely deserve to be fired. You had a question for our audience to answer along with other things. Go into that just a little bit.
Yeah, I really, while I'm a football guy, I'd love to hear, I don't know if anyone admits being a Jets fan anymore, but I'd love to hear from specifically a Jet fan. But even if you're not a Jets fan, either or, but man, I'd love to hear from Jets fan. Like, listen, we know Adam Gase is getting fired. Like,
yes.
there's no if, it's just when. So my question is, like, why isn't he fired? And so my theory is he's not being fired because they're losing. He's a terrible coach, and if they keep him and they kind of punish him and have him like kind of just coach the rest of the year, they know they're probably going to lose, if not all their games, probably all but 1 or 2. It puts him in line for Trevor Lawrence.
Beauty today, 24-0 against the Dolphins.
This team is solid. I mean, everyone wants out. Le'Veon Bell now managed to get out of there. Jamal Adams got out of there. They called me up today and asked me if I could play. I said, listen, I'm 47 years old. They're like, we know, but that's how bad it is here. We need you.
Right.
But I declined because Adam Gase is the coach, and even I don't want to play for him. And so I guess my question is to Jets fans first and football fans second. I don't care who wants to call in and tell me if they think my theory's right. My theory is this. They know they're going to fire him. Who are you going to hire? You know what I mean? You're going to go with an interim guy anyway for the rest of the year. They figure let's just punish him and have him, coach the rest of the year. We'll lose probably all but 1 or 2 games, if not all of them. And
so
Yeah,
So
why did he still
I
have a job?
posted it as, why does Adam Gase still have a job? So guys, call in and join the show. Let us know. We actually have a caller on the line. I don't want to make him wait too much longer. There is the link, guys. Let us know, why does Adam Gase still have a job? Do you think it's like John said? Because I'll give my opinion in a little bit. But first, I'd like to bring in, I believe it's a first-time caller, Nick. What's going on? Welcome to the show. Is this Mr. Mattiasi?
It is, Drew. How you doing?
In the flesh. Wow.
Hey,
Finally,
buddy.
all these years. What's up, man?
I just was talking about the Jets game today. I was watching the end of the game there, and Tua looked pretty good. And I was just wondering if you guys think that he might start sooner than later, because he looked really good to me, and I think he should get a shot.
Well, he fell down, but he's sitting right here. So that should give you a little idea of how I feel about him. I think Tua is absolutely going to start this year. I think that he will not start before the bye. I think they want to get through the bye. I think they want to give Tua, I kind of mentioned it on VB South earlier, but I think they want to give Tua this year just enough experience so he can go into the offseason knowing what the speed of an NFL game looks like. I think he wants his team to be on all cylinders. I think the organization wants him to be on all cylinders before they throw him to the wolves, because they realize they have someone special that they do need to keep healthy. I think he'll hold up. I don't think he's going to have a long career. I would expect a Barry Sanders type career from him. But the years you're going to get out of him, I think, are going to be incredible. I think they're going to be amazing. And I think it's what could turn Miami football around. Let's face it. Look at the quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls. They're young. And so I think he has all the tools in the world. I think Tua will be starting sometime this year. If it was me being that coach, it would be around week 13 or 14 at the earliest.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I think
got a lot of talent.
I think the big question mark with him, Nick, is the health coming off of last year, and I think what you saw. I think the I don't want to speak for Miami, but playing devil's advocate, I think what they're doing is trying to protect him. Listen, he's in one of the perfect situations, because he's going to learn a lot from Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I'm not saying Ryan Fitzpatrick is a great quarterback, but he's a decent one that's going to teach Tua and not feel threatened. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick's in the last year or two. You know, even when if you saw Tua today playing well, they panned to Fitzpatrick on the sideline, and he was smiling and clapping for him, very supportive. Right. So I think Tua's in a really good situation where the guy that's playing in front of him knows it's his job, so he's not even really threatened. He knows he's only warming the seat up for his eventual successor, and he's going to help him. And he gets paid pretty good to do that, so he's not hurting financially. And I don't know if he's good. I think what you're going to see, Nick, is what you saw today in games where either they're blowing the team out, like today with the Jets, or maybe in a situation where they're down some. They're going to put him in and let him get, some time on the field. As far as starting, I don't know. Obviously, if Fitzpatrick goes down, he's your starter. But I think they want him to really learn under Fitzpatrick this year, get some PT at the end of games.
Yes.
So he's not going in cold next year.
So he knows that speed. That speed is essential to him going into the offseason. If the plan is for him to play next year, he has to touch the field for a significant amount of drives in important, not garbage time situations, because that's when he needs to face first team offenses with something to prove, something to win for, but he needs to face it later on in the year so he can understand that speed. If he can go into the offseason understanding that speed, he's going to do phenomenal, I think, because that's where you can build upon it. You throw him in on a couple garbage time games against second unit teams for a minute, he's not going to learn enough, in my opinion, to be successful in year 2. That would be me, at least, my opinion. But
Drew,
great question, Nick.
Yeah, but just one more thing, Drew. But don't you think like that division is for the taking this year? Like New England is nothing now, and
but you're winning. You're winning right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're winning. When you start, if you started losing, if you were on a 6-game losing streak, this would be a very, very different conversation. You have a chance. There's 7 teams that get into the playoffs this year. Only 1 bye. You guys, if you keep winning, at least your schedule sets up nicely, especially with that division being hit rampant with COVID and the Bills looking finally like they can be human. If you play the right type of defense, Tampa 2s and disguise zones, you might be able to fool Josh Allen. It is right for the taking, but right now you're winning. Now, call back in 2 weeks if they're on a 2-game skid and they look terrible. This answer might be completely different. Yeah, but true. Right now you're winning. I would let him learn.
I'll say this, Drew. Here's an interesting thought.
Sure.
Obviously, with COVID, we got really no fans in the stands, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of selling tickets. I think if there was no pandemic,
he'd be in the game. Yes.
You may see him play more because you're putting butts in the seats.
Well, but beyond that, no, keep going. Yeah, sorry.
But I think without the real those stadium to capacity, I think they're really they want him to learn a year, get some playing time, and be ready to go next year. I think they're protecting them. I think they're keeping them sort of in a bubble. Gives him a year really to not be on the IR. He's not on the IR, obviously, but to stay healthy. Get closer to 100%. Coming off,
get the reps you need, the footwork you need, get healthy.
And I think next year he's going to be slated to start. Obviously,
he'll be
get him some reps.
He'll be starting next year 100%. And you made a great point. No fans in the stadium. Not only is it just the fans in general, there's also not the pressure. Let's face it. The Dolphins I grew up in South Florida. I went to multiple Dolphin games a year. All my friends grew up Dolphin fans. If they lost 2 games and they didn't have a good quarterback, they clamored for someone else. So those fans would be chanting to us so loudly, the media would get behind those chants because the media down there, all they do is follow what the fans say to stir up controversy. That's how they've always done. They would force Tua in with their voices. That's the power of the fans in football. But not having them in the stadium, I think, is helping Tua this year because it's giving him that chance to learn. Mm-hmm. And disagree with, hey, guys, please, if you're out there watching and you disagree with everything I just said, call in. Let us know. We can put 8 people on this screen. Call in. Let's talk.
Well, not with me because I count as 2, but 7. But all joking aside.
Well, I mean, Nick, I probably count as a half. So, I mean, you could.
All right, so it evens out.
Yeah.
Together we make 2 people. But, Nick, are you a Dolphins fan?
No, actually, I'm not. I'm a Bills fan. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. But
okay.
I can see the Bills going south now. That's what I'm saying. If
Nick,
they put in Tua, it's like.
Okay, Nick, question for you while we have you. You're a Bills fan. You just saw the Bills that I did not expect to see. I don't know how much you watch the show on a regular basis, but I have been talking up the Bills a lot this year. I've been talking up Josh Allen a lot this year. He's impressed me a lot. This past week, he made me want to throw up, and that entire team did. You have Josh Norman, which is my arch enemy. So that's going to hurt you in the long run, period, as you saw Derrick Henry put him in his place. But which Bills team, you obviously, I know you, we're friends. You study the Bills really well. You follow them really well.
Since 1960.
Exactly. What's the real Bills team? Is it the team we saw, or is it when we were talking Josh Allen's MVP?
Well, That's a hard. They had so many injuries the last game. It's
did.
hard. Yeah, and their defense is their key to their team. Is their defense over the last ever since the 90s, 80s and 90s. But lately it's been their defense for sure. And Josh Allen's just coming into his own. So this game threw him off. Now they're going to play Kansas City now. And if they're still hurt on defense, I can see them getting blown out again. So, they're going to have back-to-back bad games. Then maybe the week after that, they win. That's just the way they it's all a lot depends on their defense. And they've got 2 or 3 key injuries on defense that's holding them back right at the moment. So that's all.
So I'm in Syracuse. I wind up going to a Bills game or 2 a year. I'm not, I don't believe in second favorite teams. Obviously, I'm a Steeler fan, but if I was to have a second favorite team, it would probably be the Bills, being my proximity, and I don't hate them. Josh Allen. I want to speak to Josh Allen a little bit. Each of the 3 years here, he's improved his game. I'm reading about him. He's a worker in the off season. He's a student of the game. I know he breaks a lot of film down and studies and works on a skill set, and he's in the weight room. He's gotten better each year. His accuracy's actually improved each of the 3 years. I think and I'll let you speak to it, Nick, too, as a fan. I think the biggest thing, one of his greatest attributes is also sort of his scary one, is he's shown a propensity to try to get that extra yard, stay on his feet, and he takes shots. And so there's always that injury risk. He also, when I watch him, he seems like he's not Daniel Jones fumbling once a game like Daniel Jones does in the Met, but he does have a propensity to put the ball on the ground sometimes, or like a lot of quarterbacks will throw it kind of in the double coverage. He trusts his arm sometimes too much, but at the same time, he's improved each of the 3 years now. And so I think, McDermott probably wants him to run a little bit less, or at least slide and forget that 1 or 2 extra yards and just live for another play. And, I don't know. I know Matt Barkley was the backup, I believe, last year. Is he still,
he's still
you don't want Matt Barkley.
No.
Neither does Sean McDermott.
Matt Barkley doesn't want to be on the field.
Yeah, he's got to be in Josh's ear. Tell him, listen, I appreciate the enthusiasm and the heart, but man, just like slide and let's run the next play.
Yeah.
And so that would be my fear, as if I was a Bills fan, is like, I don't want to see Matt Barkley. So please, Josh, slide. It's fine. Well, a second and 2 is not much different than a second and 3. So slide and let's live for the next play. And that's my only thing. His accuracy's improved. I just worry about putting the ball on the ground with taking the hits and the injury.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he has to learn to slide a lot more, but he is not throwing it as much into coverage, and he's throwing it out of bounds a lot. Like I've noticed that over the last year or so. So he's not throwing as many interceptions or whatever, but he's it's just a learning curve, and I think this year he's really improved that. But now, of course, with the defense being hurt, he's behind the sticks, as they say, and he's behind, and tomorrow's going to be it's going to be a real tough one tomorrow with Kansas City for sure.
Well, the Raiders beat them, so I like the Bills better than the Raiders. So I'm not saying that's how football works. We all know it isn't, but if the Raiders can go into Kansas City and beat them, the Bills could win tomorrow too. I'm not saying I'm picking them, but the potential's there.
But that game woke them up, though. That Kansas City, you see tomorrow, Kansas City's not going to let that happen again. So
no, they're not. But
Yeah.
Nick, thanks so much for calling in, man. And it's nice to finally put a face to the name that I talked to and send so much to, buddy.
Okay,
But
Drew. And
talk to you
thanks a lot,
soon,
guys.
I'm sure. Yep. Have a good evening, bud.
Take care, Nick. Thanks for calling.
See, guys, that's what we're talking about. Simple, easy, fun, just fun conversations. Call in, join the show. And guys, I've got something running. I work with Vintage Brakes and GoldenEye Brakes. Anyone that calls in tonight is getting $5 off my next break in GoldenEye Brakes. So if you're a card collector watching, you get $5 just for calling in and chatting.
Well, I'm just gonna go off the screen and then come back on. Does that count?
Right. Well, how about I just grandfather you? I'll grandfather you into it.
And listen, all joking aside, too, if you don't want to come on the screen, you just want to ask your question.
Yes.
That's fine, too. You're not going to be any uglier than me.
But you can choose to not have your camera on. You can be a nice little circle.
If you just want to talk verbally, that's fine. We've had people do that before. People have asked me to come do that, not be on the screen, but it is October and it's Halloween month, so you're getting this. Especially Jets fans, if you're a Jets fan, I'm calling you out. I wouldn't be on the screen either, but I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on the Adam Gase situation. Why, are they keeping him around to just kind of play the string out, get that number one pick, draft Trevor Lawrence? And then, we could ask the second part to that question. What do? You get the number one pick. What do you do with Sam Darnold? I don't think you can pass on Trevor Lawrence. So, I mean, you got to trade Sam Darnold most likely. He's not going to be a backup. I'll take him in Pittsburgh. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's more suited for me, but the mask. But so I'd love to hear. I say Jets fans. If you're a football person, your opinion matters just as
well. We do have a caller on the line. We're going to bring him in now. I hope this doesn't muffle the voice too much. If it does, how's it sounding, Newman? Same or
good.
All right. Good. Well, we're bringing in our next caller. It's Halloween. If you know what band this is, type it in the comments, and I'll give you $5 off break credit. Here you go. We're adding him into the chat. He is the owner of GoldenEye Brakes. I believe I recognize that chin, Mr. Don Ford. What up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing, Newman? How you doing, DH?
What's up,
brother? Hey, I want my $5 break credit from you. I'm just kidding, bro. But I really want to just say one thing real fast before we get started is I appreciate everything that you do, Drew, and I appreciate everybody that's been putting in work just helping us grow breaks, man. Just wanted to get that out of the way before we started talking about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, what's up, man? You're what's your team again? The crappy Ravens?
Yeah, man. This guy to my left here, I don't know, man, him gonna beef it out a little bit or something.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like this.
2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks they play. They played 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not trying to cry pity party, but the game that Tennessee where they couldn't play with COVID, and then Pittsburgh got the unscheduled bye, and then they had to give up their bye, kind of screws them up because now they got Tennessee next week, and then Baltimore. Those are two tough. That's a tall order back to back.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
So no excuses. Honestly, you got to play who's on your schedule. But it was nice to have that bye week. Was the week before the Ravens game, and now we don't have that bye week. So I don't think that helps. But you got to play the game. Listen. Whether I like them, I know there are rivals, but credit where credit's due. They look good. They're good on both sides of the ball. They got a quarterback that's obviously mobile and can beat you one or two ways. Their defense really, even though they lost some guys, they replaced them fairly well. And you know the deal, Don. Anytime these two teams get together, it's one of the greatest rivalry in sports. Not even just football; it's a smash mouth.
It is, bro.
It's a win if you come out without a bunch of injuries. And so it's gonna be fun. I love it. If you're gonna win the division, either one of those teams, you're gonna have to beat, usually beat the other one, and so
That's true.
that's
right
what
there.
it always comes down to.
Well, Don, I got a question for you real quick since you just came in just to chat, and I appreciate that. We love the calls, even if you guys just want to, like Don called in and just chat. But, Don, you guys played the fucking Eagles today. Carson Wentz blows ass. I mean, and please, Eagle fans, if you disagree with me, call in and tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love for you to try and tell me. You won't convince me otherwise, but I'd love to hear you try. But this is complete and total garbage. Yet you guys are up, let's see, 17-0 at halftime, and you are up 24-6 after the third quarter.
Yes, sir.
You win 30-28.
Embarrassing.
What embarrassing! Embarrassing is an
Embarrassing.
understatement. But my question is, I mean, we've seen Baltimore struggle in multiple games. This is the team that I thought we talked about in a lot of this when we were going to when we were talking about the upcoming season and everything. We talked a lot about what teams we thought would be great, what teams we thought would be really good. And the Ravens were one I thought because of the continuity that they had and so little turnover. But I'm seeing a team that, yes, they're 5-1, and I know this is nitpicking, but when you get up at the top, you got to start nitpicking a little bit. When you see a score like this, I mean, they could have easily blown this game. What's this Ravens team like? Like, what's the real? I mean, you follow them. Like, what is this Ravens team legit? Can they get it going? Or are balls not bouncing their way? Like, what's up?
Honestly, as a fan, of course, I seen some things that Lamar Jackson's trying to not be himself, and I say that is, with the running, he's trying to be a passer. He's really not a passer. Coming from me, he isn't. He's standing there. He's trying to look downfield. He's not throwing the ball away when he needs to. He's trying to change himself for, I think, the audience. Honestly.
So he's wearing a mask, you could say.
Yes, he's not being himself, man. He's not.
Well, also, what happens in some of these games too? All three of us know this. When you get a lead, what happens? The D coordinator puts the prevent defense.
Yeah, horseshit.
Lets them get the chunk plays. They score a cheap touchdown. Now they're down by 2. You get a 3 and out on your offensive side. The defensive coordinator does it again, and they get another touchdown cheap where it takes 4 or 5 minutes off the clock, which is they'll make that trade. And sometimes, and I didn't watch this game, so I'm not saying in this particular case, but sometimes the score is not always indicative of a close game. It's just a couple cheap touchdowns late that kind of the defensive coordinator kind of calls off the dogs. Let's just we'll let them go up the field, but take time off the clock. We'll give them the 7, 8, 10 yards a clip. Just nothing big. We'll play that prevent. We've all been, our teams
a lot. They do that.
Yeah, I hate it as a former high school defensive coordinator. It's something even I wouldn't do. I just would tell my guys, listen, let's dance with the same girl we brought to just play the same defense that got us the 3 touchdown lead, right? Why are we going to just let them? But they're paid more than I am and smarter than I am. So I'm not saying I'm smarter, but I always just wondered, just play the same defense,
Well, I think what pissed me off, and I watched the end of this game, is you can play that prevent, and I get why they do it. But when it gets that close, when the team scores twice, when they got 14 points in the fourth quarter and they're marching down the field repeatedly, change it the fuck up. Maybe now's the time you start playing defense again. Right. It got you the damn big lead to begin with. It gets a little bit ridiculous. And I agree with you. That's what happened in today's game. But Baltimore, a couple of games they've snuck out that they really worried me in. And I think Lamar looks great. I think they've got they've got a young core that can develop very well. What is it? JK? Yeah, I love him. I think
Pittsburgh could have had him. Although I can't argue they did pick Claypool.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, being a Steeler fan, when they picked Claypool, I wanted Dobbins, and my son, who's a huge Drew knows him, Jordan. Me and Jordan went at it. I said, man, they blew it. They could have had Dobbins. And he's like, I like Dobbins too, but this Claypool kid's going to be good too.
They're both going to be number one.
And so I don't feel as bad as I did on draft night, missing Dobbins. I'd like to have them both, don't get me wrong, but I was really concerned that we screwed that pickup, not picking Dobbins. Right now, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's early yet. A lot of things can change, but, Connor's still playing well. I'm not completely sold on him as being kind of an all-purpose back, but it is what it is. But I mean, the Ravens are going to be tough. That game's going to be like all Steeler Ravens tilts. It's going to be fun to watch. I'll probably have no fingernails left, and it'll be nice. I don't want to jinx nothing. I'm hope knock on wood he stays healthy. It'll be nice going into that game with Big Ben. Gives us a chance. Without him, it's not going to happen. So,
well, good luck to you, and we can.
I think
whoever wins,
teams are going to win that division. I don't think it's Cleveland or Cincinnati.
Well, Don, if you guys win that game, your ass better call back and at least cheer a little bit. And I hope to see you calling in a little bit more, my man.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to run, but I just wanted to dial in because my phone's going to die and I want to get my card sorted. But I just wanted to call in because I know you've been bugging me too, man, and I just wanted to, to get on here. So
I hear you. Well, I appreciate you calling, bud, and I'll be sorting later too. You have a good one, bud.
Yeah, you both take it easy. See you, Newman.
All right.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Don.
Once again, guys, just call in, and I mean,
listen, if a Ravens fan and a Steeler fan can share the same screen, you can call in. You can call in.
Like call in, like come hang out with us. So we've had a lot of callers, and remember, guys, anyone that does call in gets $5 break credit off of the next break that I do at Golden Eye Break. So you get $5 for calling in and talking about football. That's pretty kick ass. But we're gonna move on now. What's up?
This is your week to catch me in some picks because
it is.
Like I'm gonna go one. It looks like I'm going 1-3 this week. I don't know how your picks are doing.
Well, I'll give us the updated standing. I'm actually going to pull up the updated standings here on the screen here in just a moment. And when I do, we can take a look and see how those are going because it's getting awfully close, my friend.
This week ain't help. I knew I was due for a bum week, and here it is. So unless the Rams come back here, I'm going to be 1-3 this week, and that's very un-Newman-like. I'll just say that. So
it is very un-Newman-like. You've been on a roll with the picks. I will give you that. You've been dominating with the picks, but I am going to pull up real quick our week 6 picks that we had, and we'll look at the season, and you can take a look yourself. And everyone else can see since you guys watch the video. Sorry for not having the video this week. Some stuff came up. The videos will be back next week. And we'll have it out on that Thursday so you can have the Thursday night games as well. Please, guys, call in once again, as always, to join the show. We always want you to. But here we go. Let's see. We got it right here, it looks like. Yeah, so our week 6 picks on the season, you got a 4-game lead on me. You got 19, 20, 10, 8,
3.5, I think.
20. Yeah, I have one that I don't have on there actually. I have I'm 10-8-2, I believe.
Okay.
I got to double check that, but I know that I have at least 10 wins. There's one missing, so there's either 11-9-2 or whatever. But you're looking at it this week, it did pretty decent. The Ravens obviously lost. Washington.
What was the score of the Bears game? I know they won.
The Bears game, which we'll talk about. The Bears won 20-9. Oh wait, that's week 5. The Bears won actually pretty handily, 23-16. So they won by 7.
You won that. You got you're I think you're 3-1 this week.
Yeah, pretty sure
So
I'm 3-1 this week.
You made a move
So
as I
I'm
go
up
1-3.
Yeah. Yep, up 13 at least. So I mean, it's come back close. It was a runaway for a while, but it's close again. So I'm looking forward to it.
It takes one bad week by one guy and one good week by the other at the same time, and that's it.
It does. But the one nice thing is, both of us are well above
more wins
500. Yeah, like we're doing great here. And so,
but keep in mind, this isn't a weird year too, where there's no preseason. There wasn't a preseason. You got guys opting out. You got guys hurt. You got all these injuries. I think that makes picking the games even that more difficult.
Oh, it absolutely does. It 110% makes it happen. It makes it a lot harder. So I guess since we do have a break in the callers, guys, please call in and join the show. You get $5 off of a break for literally calling in and talking football. It's ridiculous. We have our main question. If you'd like to answer, why does Adam Gase still have a job? Which call in and let us know. But
a legitimate answer to that is he's got naked pictures of Woody Johnson with someone other than his wife.
Yeah, he's got the Jeff Fisher file. That's who Jeff Fisher handed his hard drive over to. Was Adam Gase.
It could be that. If you think it's that, let us know. I'll throw it out there as a possibility. My theory is they're just going to let him string it out, lose, get rid of him, get the #1 pick with a new coach. Trevor Lawrence, trade Sam Darnold for some other picks, and kind of reload or rebuild, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Hey, if you get Trevor Lawrence and some picks for Darnold, and you strike in free agency with the actual amount of cap you have, then you could make it. The rebuild would not last long if Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. It would happen quick.
Yeah, here's what I think too. You see what just happened in Atlanta? It just happened in Houston, right? Houston fires Bill O'Brien.
Yes.
Atlanta fires Dan Quinn. Raheem Morris comes in Atlanta. They win. They kill Minnesota today. Houston wins their first game with Romeo Crennel because they quit on the previous coach, and now they're so ecstatic, like ding dong the witches, that they actually play football. I think the Jets brass. That's where I'm coming from with this. I think the Jets brass are afraid. Like, hey, everyone hates Adam Gase. If we fire him, these guys are actually going to start playing. We might win 4 or 5 games and get the 3rd or 4th pick and no Trevor Lawrence. So this is why I think they're keeping Adam Gase around.
No, and you know what? I told you I wanted to save my opinion till later in the show, and now is as good as any. I completely agree with you. I think that he is kept here because they have fully committed to losing this completely. I think that's what they want, that #1 pick. They've given up on Sam Darnold. Adam Gase is a walking fucking... That dude's on so many freaking painkillers, it's not even funny. Like that dude, I trust me as someone who's seen families go through addiction. That dude's just coasting through life on Xannies and pain pills and just having a blast, like coaching a shitty football team. So he's good with coaching this crappy team out and pretending like he cares. I mean, like I'm sure he does care. He's just too lazy to understand he's a football coach. When they finally get one in there, I mean, the rebuild, like I said, can be very, 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 very fast. But Adam Gase has a job for one of two reasons. Either the reason you said that they don't want to fire him during this and they're ready for Trevor Lawrence, or he's got the Jeff Fisher file that Jeff Fisher gave to whatever coach he had when he retired. Because there's something on that file, because you can look at every Jeff Fisher job and justify one. Just justify one job. You can't. So whoever he gave that hard drive to, I believe it to be Adam Gase. We'll see it his next job when he sucks at that, if he keeps it. But I think those are the two reasons.
I don't think he's the head coach again. I think he goes back to being a coordinator.
He better.
I mean, he's so damaged goods right now. Drew, look, they gave up one of the best. They had to trade one of the best players in football because of this guy, Jamal Adams, right?
Yes.
And I mean, that would get most coaches fired, quite frankly. So the fact that didn't get him fired, Le'Veon Bell gets cut. They couldn't even trade the guy after, the GM. If I'm the GM, what's it, mechanic or something like that? I forget his name. I wouldn't get too comfortable either. They might send both of those guys out, kind of like what they did in Atlanta with Quinn and Mohawk guy there, but the GM there. So I think it might be a GM and Gase kind of at the same time.
I completely agree with you. It's he's got something on him, and I don't know what it is, but he's got something. But hopefully he doesn't last past this year for Jets fans, because it's brutal for him and they deserve a lot better. I know my boss, Leighton Shelton, if he's watching this, I know he's a diehard Jets fans. And I mean, we literally were we were offering like break credit, but we would triple the amount of break credit if the Jets would just score. And they couldn't even score to give stuff away to people. It's pathetic. Like, the Jets are just a disgrace to this team. It's just a joke. But, we got about 15 minutes left. So, guys, please call in. I'd like to have a couple more callers before we end the show. I know you guys can do it here.
We got goats and game balls.
We'll swing through that real quick. Game balls and goats. And guys, call in and give us your game ball and goat as well. But John, I'm going to let you go on and start out with the game balls.
All right, you want me to just give my three? Just bang them out?
Yeah, just knock them out. Wow.
We might even have similar ones. Today, one of my game balls, today was, to me, his coming out party. He's here. They need to give him the ball more and keep Adrian Peterson on the bench, or just teaching him, future Hall of Famer. It's DeAndre Swift. I mean, this guy, to me, is the real deal. You're the Lions, right? I mean, Adrian Peterson's not your answer long term. Matt Stafford's probably not your answer anymore long term. So you need to see who the next guy is. DeAndre Swift, to me, is their running back. He's probably going to be their best back since Barry Sanders. He's here. Let the DeAndre Swift era start like it did today. Let him learn from AP, one of the best to ever do it. And,
I agree with you completely, and we'll touch back right on our game balls and goats here in just a minute. But we actually have a caller, so I want to jump them in before they leave. We've got another Nick joining us. What's up, Nick?
Got a question for you. Hang on a second.
Absolutely, Nick, and thanks so much for. Sure, take your time, buddy.
What do you think of today's game between? See, I've got two chats going, and I can't figure out how to stop them.
You're fine. You're fine. We can hear you fine.
I was gonna say we can hear you. So
Chats going, I can't figure out how to stop them. Buccaneers and Packers. What do you think about that game?
boy, Aaron, I watched that game, Drew and Nick. Aaron Rodgers, he looked good early on, and then he threw the pick six, and the wheels came off, and he looked like the Aaron Rodgers that why the Packers drafted Jordan Love kind of Aaron Rodgers. It was terrible. He threw another pick six, and even after that, his accuracy was off. He was he was overthrowing guys, underthrowing guys. It was almost like watching a boxer fighting a fight when they shouldn't fight anymore. And I don't think he's as bad as he played today. I'm not saying like it's over for him, but boy, he looked terrible today. And in a matchup against Tom Brady, who a lot of people like to say is that guy where his past his prime, it looked more like Aaron Rodgers was the past his prime guy. And I mean, Brady's line wasn't great. It was the Ronald Jones kind of show. Ronald Jones kind of carried the day, but Brady hooked up with Gronk for his first Tampa Bay touchdown.
In 80 years. Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded people of the New England days. And so, Brady looked like he had more in the tank than Rodgers did.
He did. And I think that has a lot to do with one thing. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Aaron Rodgers is he's kind of tired of the media saying that he's not one of the best ever. And there's a reason that people in the media don't call him that, because he's not one of the best ever. But he can continue thinking that all he wants. But what this game showed me more than anything was that when Tom Brady gets a team together, Tampa's always had talent. We played them 2 years, 2 times a year every year since we've been a team. I know Tampa very well. They were missing a quarterback. They got the best ever. They've got weapons around them that are healthy. Ronald Jones is finally becoming a stud running back. This, to me, I saw a complete team versus a team that is solely riding on its quarterback to make every single play needed. Now, granted, the defense held up decently, and Rodgers is throwing to quite a few guys that probably should be sitting here doing podcasts talking about football and not catching footballs, but that's the NFL these days. But to me, this is a quarterback that thinks too highly of himself, that got a little brought back down to reality today. I don't think he's as bad, like John says, as this outing shows, but I do think that when you see him play better teams this year, when he plays the Baltimores, the KCs, these top-notch teams in football, get used to seeing these type of performances from him, especially on the defense. Because one thing I've noticed from him, he's very slow in his progressions now. He used to be quick. Now he has a tendency to lock on one and only shift to that second. And if you've got a coordinator that can mask that second, you can cause massive problems with him, which is what Tampa did today, and you saw what happened.
I got one for Newman.
Sure.
What do you think about the Steelers game today against the Browns with Roethlisberger?
Well, I liked it. I mean, it's probably our best performance of the year.
Yeah.
You got a Cleveland team who was leading the league in rushing. We only give up 75 yards. We won by 31 points. The problem is we lost, Devin Bush for the season. So that's
a tough one.
That's going to be a big loss. And coming up now, we got Tennessee followed by Baltimore. And I'd really like to have Devin Bush for those 2 games. We probably could have got by Cleveland without him, but now we don't have him for a tough part of the schedule. I'm feeling good, but this team. Nick, I think you agree. This team only goes as far as Ben takes them. If he goes down with injury, the season's over, like we saw last year. Mason Rudolph is terrible. Josh Dobbs is nothing to no great shake. And, they haven't addressed that next guy, whoever that next guy is going to be. He's not on the roster right now.
I would have loved to have seen. I would have loved to have seen them bring in a quarterback in the fourth.
Yeah.
Just anybody.
Yeah.
I think
Well, listen, I went on my Twitter. You know, I'm not saying he's great, but Denver just cut Blake Bortles. I take Blake Bortles behind Ben right now.
He would fit that system well. He's
been compared. He's been compared to Roethlisberger. I'm not saying he's not Roethlisberger, but that's been when he was younger. That was the comparison that was made. Listen. You can think what you want about Blake Bortles. I'm not saying he's any great shakes either, but he's better than Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs. And so, to me, I'd be getting on the horn with his agent, get him in here, and probably cut one of those two guys. And if you're serious about making a run and you're 5-0, if Ben goes down, you're going to lose pretty much almost that. Unless you're playing the Jets or the Giants, you're probably going to lose every one of those games he don't play because you don't have a serviceable backup NFL quarterback. Blake Bortles is more than that. I think he can come in and even start some games, which he'd have to if Ben got hurt. So I don't know what they're doing. I heard someone's created I don't know how much truth this is, but that the Steelers were talking to the Redskins about Dwayne Haskins.
Gosh, that would
I don't know.
That would be a perfect hit.
I'd take him. I mean, he's got some talent. He's got some issues too, but at least he can learn from a veteran pro.
You can't. All right, I'm going to take the mask off for a second. All right. I know Ron Rivera more than anybody in the entire world. If there's one thing Ron Rivera cannot do, it is coach an offense. I said this when he was hired in Washington. Look at their fucking terrible offense now. You will see it for 10 years. I don't care who he drafts. If Trevor Lawrence gets drafted there, Trevor Lawrence will suck there. If Pat Mahomes was coached by Ron Rivera, they would be a barely above 500 team every single year. He is a defensive coordinator who knows how to motivate an entire team. Dwayne Haskins had zero chance to succeed there. You put him in an organization that focuses on those type of quarterbacks, that kid can learn and can succeed.
Well, I would take him. I know the rumor was Justin Lane in a fourth-round pick. And if there's any truth to that, if I'm Pittsburgh and that's all they want, I'd give them that and get this kid in here. But you bring up a great point, Nick. That after Roethlisberger, it's slim pickings, and so they're hooking their wagons to Big Ben. And if that thing goes down, that wagon's going to come crashing down with it. And it just shocked me, like you said, that they didn't do anything in the off season. And then they bring on Josh Dobbs is not terrible. But you had him. Why are you bringing a guy back? You sort of know what you had there. Like, to me, if I don't like Mason Rudolph, maybe they still have some hope there. If that's the case, that's fine. Cut Josh Dobbs, sign Blake Bortles, and then
my favorite comment in all of football is when coaches say that we signed him because he's familiar with the system, but then he goes out to play football and you utilize 5% of the playbook. Really? He's that familiar with the system? You trust him with 5%? Come on, dude.
I'm one of those guys, man. If you cut somebody, I don't like bringing back guys that you cut. I mean, you cut them for a reason. Now, every scenario is different. Maybe he was like the first guy cut. You really didn't want to, but you had to make that move. But I generally I think if you cut a guy, you know what you had. There's a reason you cut him. Try somebody else. Like, you kind of know what you got. Try something else on the menu instead of ordering the same thing all the time. Pittsburgh, that's the one thing they do that I'm not fond of. Nick and Drew, is they do a lot of retreads. They bring a lot, they'll cut a guy, he'll sign somewhere else, and then that team will cut him, and then Pittsburgh brings him back. Like, why? Let it be. There's a reason he got caught by you and somebody else. Why are you bringing him back? And if again, every time I see Ben go down, like whether it's a sack or he gets hit even after releasing the ball, my heart's like right here because I know, we got a great defense, but I know if he's out for any significant amount of time, that there goes any hope of any
One
kind
hit
of
too many, and we're done for the season.
Yeah. So they didn't really address it in the offseason. Playing armchair GM, I don't know what Colbert reasoning or Tomlin's reasoning is, but they better hope. And I'll be honest with you, the line's playing okay. The line's not playing great. Ben has been hit. He's gotten up.
he has.
And so they got an O-line coach in Sean Verrett, who I'm not a fan of. He's kind of Munchak's understudy. And, that's the other thing the Steelers do that I'm not a huge fan of. They like to stay within the organization. And they think because Sean Verrett worked under Mike Munchak that he's going to be good. And that's not always how it works. And so, I wanted him to go out and get maybe a more veteran O-line coach. I think you see the O-line sort of playing a lot worse than it has in years past. And that's going to be a big thing. Pouncey's getting long in the tooth. Villanueva's not getting younger. And so we got some line issues that are going to have to be addressed in the draft as well. And Roethlisberger is this could be his last year or next year. But I don't see him playing past next season. And so if you're going to make a run, if you're going for number 7, if you're going for ring number 7, I think they went about it sort of not exactly how I would have did it. They're 5-0, so they're not, they're doing something right. But again, everything hinges on Ben being upright and on that field and not on the sideline wearing a cast of some sort. And so if that happens, you can pack up the tents and go home because the show's over.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And they try to give a lot of blame to Randy Fitchner. And I think more of the blame needs to go on Tomlin for the quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, Fitchner, you might like him a little bit more than me. I don't think he's terrible, Nick. I think he's Ben's guy. I mean, he's Ben's pretty much his best friend. So you're going to see Fitchner there. As long as Ben's playing, Randy Fitchner is going to be the OC. I don't know. I'm not in that behind closed doors. I don't know what Tomlin thinks of him long term. But as long as Ben's still active and playing, Fitchner be there. When Ben retires, it'll be interesting to see what Tomlin does with that position. Keith Butler's another guy who, 2 years ago, I was going bald, pulling my hair out with him, and the defense has played a lot better, tremendous better. Now, I don't know how much of that is him, or we just have great players like T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree, Devin Bush, Tuitt, those guys making plays. I mean, me or you probably could coach that defense and do that well. So I don't, I know that sounds terrible to say about Keith Butler.
It's true though. It's true.
I'm still not a huge Keith Butler fan, and if you're a Steeler fan, you heard that 1 year that Tomlin had to actually take his play calling away from him and call it. And if you do that, if you're a head coach and you take the play calling sheet out of your defensive court, it's time for him to go. Like once you do that, you emasculate him to that point. I'm not saying Tomlin shouldn't have did that because he was terrible, but then you got to also get someone else in there and start
absolutely over. And once again, Nick, thanks so much, first time caller, I believe. Thanks so much for the call. Like I said, guys, call in about anything you want. We got a little bit of time left in the show. We're going a little overboard today. We're actually gonna John, for our game balls and goats, we're gonna give one out each real quick. So do one of each real quick, and then I'll do one of each of mine because we got to get to some other stuff.
All right. So I'm going there with a defensive guy. We never give a game ball to a defensive guy.
Yeah.
I watched this game. Maybe that's why this guy was all over the field. He was run blitzing. He was in the backfield before the ball got handed off. He single-handedly beat the Packers, as far as I'm concerned. It's Levante David. He's probably one of the best defensive guys you don't know about. I do. You probably do, Drew. But if you're not a huge diehard NFL guy and you're not a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, you may not even know how good this guy really is.
Right.
We talk about the Khalil Macks and the Aaron Donalds, and those guys are first ballot, probably Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And Levante David's right there in that conversation. I watched him today just flying all over the field, just like a madman. So that's if I'm picking one after DeAndre Swift, which I already said, I'm going to give it to Levante David.
All right, and who's your GOAT?
Oh man, well I wanted to say Aaron Rodgers, but we kind of talked about him.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick another one. Your former guy, I thought he was terrible today. Cam Newton.
Yeah.
You know, Denver comes into. I mean, that game's a home game for the Patriots. He hasn't. Maybe that's the problem. He didn't play with the COVID deal, but he comes in kind of rested, or he should be rested. And he's threw 2 picks. He was pedestrian, and it's a rare day when even a good Denver team goes into Foxborough and wins, not a middle of the road team. And you say, oh well, Denver won. Drew Lock must have had an off the charts great game, right? No, he didn't either. So yeah, you didn't have it wasn't a great Drew Lock performance that beat you. It was a mediocre one, and I thought Cam Newton played terrible, and it cost the Patriots. And the Patriots, they from early in the first couple of games in the season, it looked like they were still going to be the Patriots of old, and it looked like it was going to be Belichick just can win with almost any 11 guys because he's Belichick. Now they're looking like that team they're done, like what we talked about last year on this show. And it looks like it's going to be the Bills division, barring a collapse on their end. And who knows, Miami might finish ahead of the Patriots. But I saw probably the Cam Newton. You could talk more about this, Drew. I think I saw the Cam Newton that the reason he's not in Carolina anymore today.
Yes, and you definitely did. And I agree with both of those picks 100%. I mean, you can't argue with them. They're perfect, and they both did good and terrible. All right, so I'm going a little different this week. I am gonna go defense first. Or GOAT, no, I'm gonna go with my GOAT first, which is the worst. Obviously, you guys know GOAT means our guys that sucked it up today, and mine's Baker, dude.
Yeah, he was one of my three.
You've got to be fucking kidding me. You can't do this. Pittsburgh defense is not that good. I know they're good. I know they're a good team. I know this is a good team, but you were supposed to be turning the corner. This is when you were supposed to be making that big move. And I saw nothing today that showed me that you were prepared for anything on the next level. Honestly, you should be the one that's wearing this mask and this hoodie as you walk out of the stadium today, because you played like total shit. So my GOAT is Baker Mayfield. Now, for my game ball, it took me a little bit to figure this one out. I really didn't know if I wanted to go with him or not. It was tough for me, but in the end, I just absolutely had to. And that is absolutely Jefferson from Minnesota. The rookie had an absolutely phenomenal game today. He's made it to where you completely forget about Stephon Diggs. Justin Jefferson will make you forget all about Stephon Diggs. and he had a wonderful game today. He's had multiple wonderful games. Look into my eyes now that they're off of this fucking funny ass mask, which I told somebody I'll give you a Roughing the Passer prize pack if you can tell me what this mask is from during the show. It's a band. It's from a band's cover album. That should make it easy. Or if it's the cover of a band's album, but that Justin Jefferson is 1000% legit. You look at this kid. I want to show you all of his catches today as we're already running overtime. Oh, we got a caller we're going to bring in. So Justin Jefferson is mine. But Scott Rappaport, what's up, my man?
Ooh, what's going on, man?
What's up? Welcome to the show, my
He
friend.
even brought a mic to the show. I like that.
You know what? This is what I always use. It's it's a little bit.
No, I like it.
better
That's cool.
Yeah. So good show so far tonight.
Thanks.
Yeah, Drew asked me to pop in really quick because I know we're going to be talking about some other things coming up here shortly.
Yeah.
So I kind of got some overlap on the audio as I was waiting here. So what? Are we doing picks for the week? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, we were doing game balls and goats, but really, what after? I guess we'll ask you. We have a question today that we have if you'd like to answer for us, and one of our questions is obviously who gets your game ball and who is your goat, and the other one would be why does Adam Gase still have a job? Because we have theories on this, and we want to know why. And I know you're up north. You're a Bears fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously. Fuck you guys, by the way.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Game balls and goats. Why does Adam Gase still have a job?
All right, so I'm gonna roll with game ball.
Sure.
I don't want to pick out one single person, but Andrew, you're gonna kick my ass for this one. But I'm gonna go with Eddie Jackson with the Bears, and
he deserves it.
Overall, Bears defense. They looked a lot better today than they have, going forward. And really, it was the only game I watched today. Although I did kind of track the Green Bay Tampa Bay game.
You had to be liking that one.
You know what I did? My two favorite teams are the Bears and whoever's playing the Packers.
Right.
So, to watch, get a chance to see, Tom Brady kind of stick it to Aaron Rodgers. That was a pretty solid game for the second half of the afternoon. I got nothing on GOAT. The reality, I haven't even looked at my fantasy scores today. It's been one of those days. But as far as why does Adam Gase have a job, I think he's got a job for the same reason that the Clintons keep getting jobs and money, is because he's got dirt on somebody.
I told you he has Jeff Fisher's USB drive.
It is the only explanation.
Jeff Fisher gave him his USB drive when he retired. That's what I said.
It's either that.
It makes sense.
Yeah, or he knows that somebody that's higher up in the Jets organization had something to do with Jeffrey Epstein or something like that, and they don't want him to get out. So I think that's what it is. I think that's the reason that Adam Gase still has a job. He didn't. I'll tell you, he had no dirt on the McCaskey family when he was coaching the Bears, and mainly because there is no dirt on the McCaskey family, mainly because Virginia McCaskey is older than dirt. But it's you got a situation where there's really nothing that they got on him. So they got rid of him, rightfully so. They should have, but he's got to have something on somebody high up in the Jets organization to still have this position. There is no reason why he should still be a head coach in the NFL.
Well, my theory, Scott, I don't know if you heard it. My theory is this. I don't think they want to listen. The guy's going to get fired at the end of the year. So if it doesn't happen in season, he ain't coming back next year. No. I think they just want to play the string out, lose most of their games, if not all of them, get that number one pick, Trevor Lawrence. You see what happens. Atlanta fires their coach, Houston fires their coach, and they win because those guys who hate their coach, who have quit on their coach already and almost have come out and said that, get kind of reinvigorated. They don't want that to happen in Jets land. They don't want to get rid of Gase. Then the Jets guys start playing, win 3, 4, 5 games, and maybe lose out of that slot. I think they want to just keep them there. Go 0-16, 1-15, 2-14 if they catch lightning in the bottle. Get that number 1 pick and get their
now.
guy.
Let me ask you this though.
Okay.
Has it ever come back to bite a team?
Of course it has.
Well, of course they've tempted, and obviously Lawrence is the right now the consensus number 1 pick. But he's still got eligibility left. What if he realizes that, hey, I'm going to get picked by the Jets?
Oh, and pulls an Andrew. Pulls an Andrew Luck and says, "No, I'm not going."
But he's going to know. He's going to know before the college season is even over.
Right.
Who is probably going to have the number 1 pick, and we can probably safely predict that right now. So there's nothing to say, hey, I don't want to go play in New York, but it's not even really New York. It's New Jersey, which is almost even worse.
Yeah.
It's like New York, but with, I don't know. I mean, it's close enough New York City, I guess, but the taxes are too high. The area around here, I don't want to live in Newark.
No, it's a good point, and I think he could. I think he could come back. It's just I don't know if with all the uncertainty, everything. If I'm him, the biggest unknown is what shit shows are going to be next year. Like at least in New York, they're getting rid of Darnold. You do have weapons there. They have a ton of salary cap. If you get a quarterback that can play there, they've got pieces. Like, they're not a bad team. They just have a god-awful coach who should never, ever have been a head coach. And as soon as they have someone with any competency whatsoever and a quarterback that can play, shore up the line a little bit. Your defense is coming along, but get a coach. I mean, look at what Matt Rule's done in Carolina with very minimal talent. He has turned these kids into amazing players. If they believe in you and they believe in your system,
and they're not playing the Bears.
Yes, and fuck off. But I mean, I just think it's just that's how it is. And I if I'm Trevor Lawrence, screw the eligibility, because what shit show are you running into next year? I mean, it's not going to get any better.
Look, you're gonna anytime you're the number 1.
We got to wrap it up here, so we'll do a couple more minutes here.
But anytime you're the number 1 draft pick, you're going to be walking into a shit show because it's the worst possible team with the worst possible record. The difference is, hey, are we walking into the shit show in, a place like Las Vegas, or are we walking into a shit show in a place like Newark, New Jersey? So you gotta look at that, and I think I don't think Burrow would have sat out. He couldn't. His eligibility was done anyway, so it didn't really matter to him. But, had he had another year of eligibility left, I mean, Cincinnati's actually not a bad place. So, he may have looked at it and said, hey, at least it's not, I don't know, I'm trying to think of literally, at least it's not, I want to say Green Bay, but because really Green Bay it's literally nothing.
No, it's killed Jordan Love, and it's killed Jordan Love because he's got a quarterback that doesn't want to help him, that won't help him, that's going to stifle his development, because instead of like Brett Favre, who sat for a couple years and actually learned, this kid's going to sit and have to do all the learning on himself. He's not going to have any help. So
no, that's true. Aaron Rodgers did have Brett Favre. I was only seeing Green Bay just because it's a tiny little town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a shithole.
Nobody would even know where it is on a map if it weren't for the Packers.
Right.
So are you going there, or are you going to go to Vegas, or So I mean, you got to take that into consideration too. Now, also the risk of injury if you go another year in college, and so forth. But it's all a giant balancing act. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence would forego his final year of eligibility in order to play for the Jets.
I do.
Well, he's already announced like this is going to be his last college year. But what you said, Scott, he could do a 180. So you know what?
Yeah.
I don't see it because I think the money, with the slotted money, and he could sign, the 2 or 3 year deal, just play that out, and then know, like, I don't have to stay here.
We've all been 19 or 20 once. We change our minds.
No, not me. I was never 19.
Well, yeah, I know. You're only 16 now, Scott.
So but, I think he's gonna enter the draft. Whether it's the Jets that have that number one pick, if whoever drafts him, whether it's the Jets or someone else, and he don't like that situation, he can play that string out and then sign somewhere else. And I think that's what Burrow's doing in Cincinnati. I don't think Burrow really wanted to go there, but they do have some great weapons at receiver. They got Joe Mixon. And so I think if Cincinnati can win some games in the 3 years they're going to have Burrow and kind of convince them they're on the right trajectory and we're going to add to what we got with draftees, then he might re-up and sign a new deal. If he don't feel that way, he can say, hey, thanks for drafting me and believing in me. I just don't want to stay here. I want to go somewhere else and continue my career. And he can sign somewhere else. I'd take him in Pittsburgh in a heartbeat.
All right, guys. Well, before we wrap up, and Scott, I want you to stay on just because I know you'll appreciate it. And you've never been a part of Shit Whip of the Week.
Oh.
But it is one of our segments every week where we do pretty much one of the biggest hits there are. And this may not have been the biggest hit this week, but damn if it isn't sexy, and damn if it isn't on someone that I like seeing get the shit hit out of them. And the beautiful thing about it, there was no flag thrown. So without further ado, this week's Shit Whip of the week. Rodgers rolling back, rolling, and yeah, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Anytime you can get a nice hit on a quarterback like that,
you had about 8 clips you could have picked there today. I mean, he was on his back more.
No, I know. I just love this one because it was like it was just that brutal shove. Like I love it. I'll zoom in on the actual shove so people can see it a little better. I just
show it a couple more times. I kind of
okay.
I'm gonna go start playing with myself while watching that one.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. He just gets the pure living shit kicked. Here it is. Here we go. Boom! Like it's beautiful.
That was almost as good as last week's. And I forgot who it was, but the one-handed push and the guy falls backwards, and they turned it into a meme of him getting thrown out of the house in Beverly Hills to the Fresh Prince.
Derrick Henry on Josh Norman.
Yeah, there we go. Derrick Henry on Norman. Fuck Josh Norman.
That was the best. That was the best one I've seen all week.
Yeah,
or all season. So
Josh Norman will never live that down. He could go. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but he could go on to be a Hall of Famer. And when you say Josh Norman, that'll be the first thing anyone thinks of.
Exactly. Well, Scott, thanks so much for joining the show, bud, and I'll be talking to you here soon, my friend.
Sounds good. Thanks, Drew.
Absolutely. Well, guys, went quite overboard today, but we love it because you guys called in, and that's what we want, an interactive show with you guys. It's a blast. Had a blast today.
We went overtime like Houston, Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly. But with that in mind, guys, we will have next week, we will have our video up with our picks. We'll be doing something very special, obviously, coming up towards Halloween and everything. Like I said, if you get a chance and you can figure out where this mask is from, leave a comment and I will give you a special Roughing the Passer prize pack. But you guys take care, and Mr. Newman, thanks again as always.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Roughing the Passer calls.